Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Now, in this episode, we dive deep once again, and we're talking about when your neighbor has access to your network, i.e., your Wi Fi or your router in, let's say, an apartment complex. Like, what do you do in a situation like that? Hackers, they live amongst us, and they could be anybody, truthfully, they look like your average, everyday person. So let's say, for example, it is your neighbor. How can you protect yourself? What are the signs to look for if you do suspect something like that going on within your apartment community? So, for example, with me, I've moved a few times and I've definitely had a hacker within my apartment complex hacking into my PC and my cell phone. But in this episode, they talk about how to capture the evidence and what to do with it once you do have it. So sit back, relax, create a comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks.
We all know the classic neighbor dispute, right? Loud music, maybe parking squabbles. Sometimes things get heated in the hallway.
Yeah, the usual stuff. Annoying, but, manageable mostly.
But the sources we've been digging into, well, they paint a really different picture now. With smart homes, all the Wi-Fi everywhere, the fight next door, it's gone digital.
Seriously digital. We're talking about pretty sophisticated cyber stuff happening right through the apartment walls.
Okay, let's unpack this. What actually happens when your neighbor isn't just banging on the ceiling, but like actively messing with your internet? Or your smart thermostat, even your door lock?
It's a pretty scary thought, honestly. It taps into something all modern apartments have in common. You're close together, and there's just this explosion of IoT devices, Internet of things that are, frankly, often vulnerable.
Right, all those smart speakers, lights, locks.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we pulled together intel on the huge range of tactics people are apparently using. Everything from jamming your Wi-Fi to weird acoustic manipulation.
Acoustic manipulation. Okay, we definitely need to get into that later.
Oh, we will. But crucially, we're focusing on how you, the listener, can maybe spot this stuff, how to document it properly, and what legal options you might actually have.
So the mission here is to kind of map out this strange new landscape, give people the knowledge without drowning them in tech speak.
That's the plan. Think of it as a guide to this weird intersection of neighborly disputes, property law, and, well, privacy engineering. It's fascinating and disturbing.
Let's start with the digital arsenal then, because some of the tactics described are, well, they're inventive. I'll give them that. Connectivity seems to be the first target, right?
Almost always. If your Wi-Fi keeps dropping out, especially at really specific critical times, it might not just be your router acting up.
And the main culprit mentioned is something called a DUth attack, deauthentication.
Yeah, or Wi-Fi jamming is what people might call it. Basically, think about how your phone or laptop constantly checks in with your router, authenticates itself. A DUth attack is like someone digitally shouting, "Stop talking to that device," over and over again, flooding the connection between your device and your router.
So they're actively sending signals to force my devices offline.
Precisely. And the sources say they use tools that are pretty easy to get, low cost. Things like air cracking. Doesn't take a genius to use them, apparently.
Wow.
And we saw examples in the source material like people getting kicked off Wi-Fi right in the middle of a job interview online, or even a remote court hearing.
Okay, that's not just annoying anymore. That's like actively interfering with someone's life, their job.
It's economic interference, absolutely. But jamming isn't the only way. If that doesn't work, they can try to trick you.
Trick me how?
Well, this involves setting up what's called an evil twin AP, an access point. We saw this mentioned in even an FBI bulletin about IoT threats.
Evil twin. Sounds ominous.
It is. The attacker creates a fake Wi-Fi network. It looks totally legit, maybe identical to your building's actual guest network, or something catchy like Apartment 5G free.
Ah, I see where this is going.
You click on it, thinking it's safe, maybe free internet, and boom, they capture everything you type into it. Passwords, bank details, you name it. It's basically phishing, but happening right next door.
That's genuinely frightening. Okay, so they can mess with the network. But you mentioned all those smart devices we have. They can target those directly, too.
They absolutely can. And this is where it gets really interesting. Hijacking your smart home devices.
How?
Take smart locks, for example. Many popular ones, like August locks, use Bluetooth Low Energy, BLE.
Bluetooth, okay.
So BLE devices broadcast credentials when your phone gets close. An attacker doesn't necessarily need your Wi-Fi password for this. If they're close enough, like through the wall, they can potentially capture or spoof those Bluetooth signals. It's called BLE spoofing.
Wait, hang on. Just because my lock is near the shared wall,
Mm,
the neighbor could grab the signal between my phone and the lock itself.
potentially, yeah. The proximity is the weak point. And it gets even weirder with things like, say, Nest thermostats or Philips Hue smart lights. Attackers might use a platform called Shodan. If we connect this to the bigger picture, knowing what Shodan is tells you a lot about the threat landscape out there.
Shodan. I think I've heard of that. Isn't it like a search engine?
Exactly, but not for websites. It's a search engine for the Internet of Things. It constantly scans the internet looking for connected devices, thermostats, cameras, printers, whatever, that are basically unsecured, using default passwords, weak passwords, things like that.
So my neighbor could use Shodan, find my thermostat if I say never change the default password.
And potentially get remote control of it, yes, without even needing to touch your Wi-Fi. They just find its IP address listed on Shodan because it's insecure.
And then what? They just mess with the temperature.
Yeah, and the sources detail this being used maliciously, like cranking your heat up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit in the middle of the night, or making your smart lights flash constantly, trying to stress you out or trigger anxiety. It's systematic, psychological harassment, using your own tech against you.
Man. Okay, this next part in the sources, this is the bit that really creeped me out. Moving beyond the digital. Acoustic warfare. What even is that?
Yeah, this section, it deserves its own focus because it's a really insidious way to weaponize sound, specifically designed to be hard for others to detect.
How does that work in an apartment?
Well, the sources, like the ACM Privacy Engineering Journal, talked about ultrasonic speakers. Think highly directional sound, sometimes using tech similar to LRA systems.
LRA? Aren't those the loud hailer things police use sometimes for crowd control?
Sort of, yeah, long-range acoustic devices. But here, the key is directionality and frequency. These ultrasonic devices can emit sound, often at frequencies right at the edge of human hearing, maybe slightly above, that are super irritating or cause discomfort.
Okay.
And because they're directional, they can focus that sound beam through a wall, targeting just one specific unit.
So only the person in that apartment experiences it. Maybe as like a weird headache or a constant ringing noise.
Exactly. While someone standing right outside the door, or in the apartment next door on the other side, might hear absolutely nothing. It's targeted sonic harassment, designed to make the victim feel like they're going crazy, maybe.
That is, wow. That's some serious dedication to being a terrible neighbor.
It really is. And then there's this other thing, kind of bridging the digital and physical wall resonance.
Wall resonance.
This is where the neighbor coordinates physical actions, like tapping on pipes inside the walls or knocking on the shared wall, but they time it precisely with the target's digital activity.
Synchronized. How would they even know?
Well, imagine they're monitoring your Wi-Fi traffic. Maybe they see when certain devices are active, or maybe they've somehow got access to your app notifications, perhaps through other means.
Okay.
So every single time, say, your smart oven timer dings, or you get a specific notification on your phone, tap, tap, tap on the wall.
Oh, man. That would mess with your head. Make you wonder if the noise is real or if your phone is somehow making the wall tap.
Exactly. It induces paranoia about your own environment and your own technology. It shows this, frankly, insane level of planning and sustained effort.
Right. So, okay, if you suspect any of this crazy stuff is happening, the Wi-Fi jamming, the device manipulation, the weird noises, how on earth do you fight back? You can't exactly argue with a death packet.
You really can't. And that brings us to the crucial next step. If we connect this to the bigger picture, knowing how to look, how to gather actual usable evidence, that is absolutely everything. Without proof, you're kind of stuck.
You have to become your own digital detective, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. A meticulous one.
Okay, so starting with the network side, my Wi-Fi is acting weird. What tools do the sources suggest?
For network forensics, the big one mentioned is Wireshark. It's a free tool, very powerful. It lets you basically see all the raw data, the packets moving across your network.
And you can spot attacks in that data.
You can. With a bit of know-how, you can identify the specific signatures of death packets. Or you might spot traffic going to or from a rogue access point, that evil twin network we talked about.
What about just checking my router's logs? Is that helpful?
Definitely. You want to look for anything unusual or repetitive coming from an unknown source. Specifically, the sources mention looking for repeated pings or connection attempts from a specific MAC address that you don't recognize.
Hold on, MAC address. Break that down. What is that?
Ah, right. Good question. Think of a MAC address as like the unique serial number or fingerprint for every single device that can connect to a network. Your laptop has one, your phone has one, your neighbor's smart TV has one. They're all unique hardware identifiers.
So if I see the same unknown MAC address constantly trying to probe my network in the logs,
That's potential forensic evidence right there. It points to a specific device trying to surveil or attack your network.
got it. Okay, that covers Wi-Fi issues. What about the smart device hacks? Like the Bluetooth lock thing, the BLE spoofing?
Right. For that, you need different tools. For general Wi-Fi interference, something like Kismet can help map out radio frequency noise and other networks. But if you suspect Bluetooth attacks, like on your smart lock, you need an app like NRF Connect.
NRF Connect.
Yeah, it's an application that specifically scans for Bluetooth signals. It can help you find suspicious Bluetooth beacons nearby that might be trying to broadcast fake credentials or intercept your lock signal. It gives you proof of that proximity-based threat.
Okay, so we've got the invisible stuff covered, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. But the sources also pointed out this often involves physical stuff too, right? Like hiding devices.
Absolutely. Don't forget the physical counter-surveillance. The sources recommend some pretty straightforward checks, using a thermal camera, for instance.
Thermal camera, like the Predator Vision thing.
Yeah, basically. Even small hidden devices give off a little heat. A thermal camera might help you spot a device mounted inside a wall void or hidden behind a vent cover, something you'd never see otherwise.
And EMF detectors.
Yep. Electromagnetic field detectors. They can help sniff out hidden radio transmitters, maybe tucked into plumbing access points or air vents, places you wouldn't normally look.
And it's not just about hidden bugs. The sources mention physical access being coordinated too. Cloning key fobs.
Oh yeah, RFID cloning is a big one. There are devices out there, like the Flipper Zero, it costs what, under $200, that can easily copy the signal from many common apartment key fobs or garage door openers.
Seriously.
Right.
For less than $200.
Yep. So suddenly, the perpetrator might have physical access to common areas or even your unit, and they can track your comings and goings. And this kind of coordination, the source indicate, often happens using encrypted messaging apps like Signal. They might have alerts set up, they call it stalkerware alerts in some contexts, where collaborators tip each other off about when you leave or arrive.
This is like a spy movie, but deeply unsettling because it's potentially happening next door. Okay, so you gather all this technical evidence, the Wireshark logs, the NRF scans, maybe thermal images, but that's not enough on its own, is it? You need legal documentation.
Critically important. This is the learner's checklist part, you could say. You have to keep meticulous logs.
What does meticulous mean here?
It means time-stamped, verifiable records of every incident. Don't just write Wi-Fi dropped again. Write July 12th, 2.1 a.m. Wi-Fi disconnect confirmed as death packets in Wireshark log, coincided with thermostat spiking to 90 degrees F, verified via Nest history. See the difference? Detail and correlation.
And video evidence, if you can get it.
Absolutely. If your smart doorbell camera catches your neighbor lingering suspiciously in the hallway right when your smart lock malfunctions, save that footage. Proximity evidence can be powerful.
And the sources stressed getting professional help too.
Yes. Getting a professional forensic report is often key. Paying a cybersecurity professional a few $100s to audit your network, examine your devices, and officially document the evidence of malware, spyware, or specific attack patterns.
Why is that so important?
Because without that expert validation, in court it can often just dissolve into a he said, she said situation. The professional report adds objective weight to your claims.
Makes sense. All that documentation then ideally leads to some kind of legal action. This raises an important question. What legal recourse actually exists when someone's waging digital warfare for the next apartment?
Well, the good news is many of these tactics already violate existing laws, often serious federal ones. The main one in the U.S. is the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, the CFAA.
CFAA, okay. What does that cover?
It specifically targets unauthorized access to computer networks. Things like launching death attacks or accessing someone's router without permission. And the penalties can be severe, the sources mentioned, up to 10 years in prison.
Wow, okay.
Plus, beyond federal law, almost all U.S. states, 48, according to the sources, have their own felony cyber harassment or cyber stalking statutes that could apply to these kinds of coordinated tech-based attacks.
So criminal charges are possible. What about civil court? Can you sue?
Yes, civil remedies are definitely an avenue. You can seek a restraining order, and importantly, you can ask the court to include specific tech provisions in that order, like mandating the neighbor remove certain wireless equipment, or maybe even requiring them to use specific signal jammers, though that gets complicated legally. But the court can order them to stop the specific digital conduct.
And what about the landlord? Are they ever responsible?
Sometimes, yes. If you've documented the harassment, repeatedly informed your landlord, and they've been negligent, haven't taken reasonable steps, you might have grounds for a property suit against them. The sources cited a precedent case, Davis v. River Oaks Apartments from 2022, suggesting landlords have a duty to ensure a habitable environment, and that can include protection from digital harassment.
Interesting. And this isn't just a U.S. thing, right? These issues are global.
Oh, absolutely. Legal systems everywhere are grappling with this. The sources gave examples like Germany bringing in jail time in 2023 for using things like AirTags for stalking, and the UK having laws, the Communications Act, that allows for significant fines specifically for Wi-Fi jamming since 2024. It's a worldwide issue.
Okay, so the laws exist, which is good, but now we need the essential critical reality check. Because having a law on the books and actually getting enforcement or a conviction, those can be very different things, can't they?
Painfully different, often. That's the hard truth.
The data cited, I think it was DOJ data from 2024, showed really low conviction rates for cyber harassment. Only something like 12% of reports actually led to an arrest.
Yeah, that figure is sobering. And it speaks volumes about how difficult it is to prove these cases definitively. Tracing a digital attack back to one specific person in a crowded apartment building,
Yep.
proving their intent beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
It's technically and legally very challenging.
So that's one dose of reality. What's the other?
The other is remembering not to jump to conclusions too quickly. There was data mentioned, I think, from Kaspersky suggesting that a huge chunk, like maybe 80% of incidents people think are smart home hacking, are actually just normal tech glitches, device malfunctions, user error, maybe just a genuinely flaky Wi-Fi signal that day.
Yeah.
Your thermostat going haywire could be malicious, or it could just need a factory reset, you know?
Right. Rule out the simple explanations first before assuming cyber warfare.
Exactly. Do the basic troubleshooting before you invest time and money in forensic audits.
Okay, that's crucial context. So, final safety note, pulling from the sources. If you do have solid evidence, always go through official channels. Involve law enforcement. Don't try to retaliate digitally.
Absolutely critical. Trying to hack back, like jamming their signal in return, that could easily land you in legal trouble, potentially violating the same laws, like the CFAA. It negates your position as the victim.
And if people need help, legal resources.
The sources mentioned the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative helpline as a good place to start for free support and guidance.
Okay, great resource. So, to quickly summarize this whole deep dive, if you suspect you're a target of this kind of neighborly cyber harassment,
Right.
what are the absolute key takeaways?
I'd say three things. First, recognize the potential sophistication. It might not just be bad luck. It could be a targeted death attack, an evil twin network, maybe even that weird acoustic stuff. Don't dismiss strange patterns.
Okay, awareness first.
Second, use the right tools for detection if you can. Wireshark for network traffic, maybe NRF Connect for Bluetooth, thermal cameras for hidden devices. Gather that digital proof methodically.
Get the data.
And third,
Meticulous documentation is non-negotiable. Timestamp logs, correlating events, getting professional forensic reports if needed. You have to build a bridge between the technical evidence and what's needed for legal action.
this has really opened my eyes. The walls between apartments, they feel thinner than ever now, not just for noise, but digitally permeable. Messing with someone's connection, their smart home,
It really is the modern version of vandalism or property damage.
it really is. And that brings us to a pretty complex final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Given how hard it clearly is to get convictions, those low rates we talked about, and given that many of these attacks are fairly easy to do, but incredibly hard to definitively trace back to one person, how might the legal system need to adapt?
Adapt how?
Well, does the burden of proof need to shift somehow in these shared digital physical spaces? Maybe instead of only focusing on proving the malicious act, should the law start looking more at, say, proactively protecting network integrity and digital boundaries within multi-unit dwellings? How do we better safeguard people when your neighbor's network activity can directly harm you?
So less focus on catching the hacker after the fact and more on preventing the intrusion in the first place through clearer digital property rights within buildings.
Possibly. It's a really fascinating collision of traditional property law concepts and the realities of modern cybersecurity. Definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on.